Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. I want to thank everybody who tuned in 30 minutes earlier. That's right. I got to go cut this mohawk, and my stylist, who fixes my hair so I look good on camera, is unfortunately I have an appointment at 1:30 that I can't miss because I've been trying to cut my hair for like 2 weeks, and it's just been a mess. It's every time I go to cut my hair, it's something happening in real life. So, well, here we are. We're 30 minutes early. And when I say we, I mean me, because right now I am solo. Now, not for much longer, though. C Money should be here momentarily. And of course, we're going to get into two pretty big topics, one of which is going to be Doom the Dark Ages. Not being a failure like some podcasters have suggested. And look, obviously, I'm sure all of you or many of you in the chat have already played this game. The quality is Game of the Year without a doubt. Now, will it win Game of the Year? Man, I don't think so this year. I think that the front runners, at least in my personal opinion, are going to be 33, I wouldn't say 33 Immortals, Expedition 33, and of course, Split Fiction. I was talking with Asante earlier this morning, and Everborn Saga for that matter, and I had made mention that I think that come December, they are just going to just go blow for blow with one another, and I think that they walk away. I'm talking about Split Fiction and Expedition 33. I think that they're going to walk away with, if not all, most of the awards and categories that they're in. And I think most people will agree. And it's for good reason. But we will definitely get into that momentarily. We're also going to be getting into a topic that I had sent over to C Money that I thought was pretty interesting. You know, as a matter of fact, let me see if he's texting me right now because he might be running behind. Let's see. No, he's good. So he should be here momentarily. We will get into that. But hey, man, first of all, while we wait for C-Money to get here, obviously we have a few minutes. Let's get into Doom the Dark Ages. This is a game that came out and did some spectacular things. So of course, you got to go right to the show notes. Oh my, are you kidding me? Hold on a sec. That is just crazy. I did not send him the link. I actually sent the link to myself. Jesus Christ. Here we go. All right. So that's why C Money isn't here. And it's because of this old man. I literally was doing 2 videos, my wash, and trying to set up for today's show. And well, here we are. C Money should be here momentarily. So we're going to kind of pause, if you will, until he gets here. Jesus Christmas. But listen, again, we will be opening the show with Doom the Dark Ages, and it's big numbers. Here he is. Hey, C Money, my partner, my brother from another. Again, I was just telling the chat, I literally sent the link to myself, which is, this is what happens when you're doing the wash, cleaning the room, and of course trying to prepare for the show and doing 2 videos.
Yeah,
I put too much on my plate, and I haven't even worked out today. But C Money, welcome, brother. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm feeling good. Glad to be here. Glad to talk some fun stuff today. I see
we got some slander. And I sent you the slanderous topic, and I said, you know something? I normally don't tread in that kind of water, but I think there's something to be said about using facts and numbers and actual events to depict what we're going to talk about. But hey, listen, you know what? I kind of heard that you, my friend, might be hanging out with me in Los Angeles later in the beginning of June. Talk about that for a second. What's going on with that?
Yes. So we were going back and forth with going and like Cargit and have that show going on.
He talked you off the ledge too, didn't he?
Yeah, well, they had he invited us to go to the thing, and I was like, man, I want to go. So we were gonna go, but it just we were kind of going back and forth with it. But then what kind of put it over was that IGN accepted us as press for IGN Live 2025. So
nice.
So we're gonna go do that. And since we're gonna be there anyway, we're gonna go to Jeff Keighley's to the show on Friday.
Okay, nice.
So we'll see the show live, and then the press day is Saturday and Sunday. But Sunday's the show, the other show. So we'll go to Hargate, the fan fest thing. It's gonna be good, man. I'm excited. It's cool. And it's going. What's even doper is that so obviously, we can't. We have 6 kids, so we can't both go. So I'm gonna go, but I'm taking my oldest son, Madman, and my oldest daughter.
Oh, so that's awesome, dude.
The other 2 people part of the squad that never really get seen will be there. So this is it's gonna be really cool, man. It's gonna be real cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that kind of family stuff. That's what it's all about, right? Obviously, you work with the missus every other day on the shows. You've done some big things with her, and now you get to work with the kids. It's amazing. It's good to see. And again, this just harkens back to bringing family into the podcasting game, which I'm going to be doing tomorrow, as a matter of fact, with Tyler. Tyler will be opening and closing the show. And folks, get ready for this. His first time on camera. He's like, yeah, Theo, I want to get on camera. I'm like, okay, buddy. So we're graduating him from, using my picture. We got a picture already for him. But that's when he doesn't want to be on camera. He's actually going to be on camera for the first time, which I think is super awesome.
That's dope.
I'm very excited for that. But C Money, I want to open up. We'll go light, folks. Again, we're going to be here about an hour and 10 minutes because again, I gotta bounce out of here by no later than 12:45 because I got an appointment in Yonkers, which is about 45 minutes away, and I can get there for my appointment right on time. But C Money, I want to open up with what's on the screen. Doom: The Dark Ages is a game that came out a week ago today. It launched on the 15th of May, and quite frankly, it is probably, at least for in my personal opinion, the best of the trilogy. I think that they have done things with this game that, unfortunately, good or bad, cannot be undone for sequels. Meaning that the shield is so important and makes this game so vastly different from the other 2 games, very similar to Master Chief getting the grappling hook in Halo Infinite. It's, again, if Halo comes out, let's say, for instance, they release the Combat Evolved redone in Unreal Engine 5, it's not going to have the grappling hook. And honestly, not that it's going to be a bad game. It's Combat Evolved. It's going to be amazing and done in Unreal Engine 5 potentially. But I'm going to feel like I'm missing something because you were so fast and you got to so many places with the grappling hook. I kind of feel that way for Doom moving forward. Now, again, one of the big removals from Doom, at least the Dark Ages, was the traversal, meaning that there was not that much platforming. Now, there was some, sure, but it wasn't egregious. And Doom Eternal, as great and fast as that game was, I didn't care. I like platformers, and even me, sometimes it was a bit of a pain in the rear. And there were some parts, especially in the DLC, that I died 70 times, even on easy. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? Why can't I make these jumps? It's not because I'm a rookie journalist or an unskilled journalist. It's just that it was ridiculous. But the focus of this conversation are 2 points of contention that I really want you to sink your teeth into. One of which is 3 million players in 6 days. And I don't think that actually comes off as a win for some people in this community. As a matter of fact, there were some that did. Doom has failed. Doom has fallen. It's flat. Game Pass effect. We've heard it all. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but at least from what I understand, sales are important. They matter, of course. But metrics of people playing your game and interacting with it, well, that's the important number. And you know what? It's so important that Sony themselves are literally changing the way that they use these metrics for their own personal benefit moving forward, as we heard from the CFO of Sony Interactive Entertainment for PlayStation. They are going to be using MAUs. That is what's happening here. Well, what happened was 3 million players, not games sold, not copies sold, 3 million players played Doom: The Dark Ages. And why that is a really important piece of contention is because this is done, folks, in a matter of 6 days. Right now, I have a story in front of me. It was written by Samuel Tolbert of WindowsCentral.com. And it goes on to say this, folks. Doom: The Dark Ages reaches 3 million players 7 times faster than Doom Eternal. The latest Doom game has already attracted over 3 million players since its recent launch. And I'm just going to read a little bit from the story, folks, because, of course, I'm using it for context. So I want to give credit where credit is due. So Samuel Tolbert goes on to say, developer id Software and publisher Bethesda Softworks' new first-person shooter Doom: The Dark Ages has already reached 3 million players since launch. The official Bethesda Blue Sky account shared the news on Tuesday, additionally confirming that Doom: The Dark Ages reached this milestone 7 times faster than its 2020 predecessor, Doom Eternal, making it the biggest ever launch for an id Software game. I mean, that's honestly saying something. So let me continue, folks. Of course, as an Xbox first-party game, Doom: The Dark Ages also launched directly into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass, an important factor that would naturally impact how quickly players flock to each game. And I think that is a big part of the conversation. You know, I don't understand, and I know C kind of just stepped away for a second, but chat, of course, I'm talking to you directly. I find it very disingenuous from people in the gaming media, not Samuel, but certainly some of the other negative articles regarding sales versus players. And of course, some of the, nameless podcasters that we won't talk about here by name because we don't want that smoke. But there's also a subset of people, and usually they're just, a name with an S or something because they don't really have a profile, and they're just trolls of the industry, trolls of social media, think that sales are everything. Now, sales, of course, are paramount to a company being, or a game more specifically, being successful or not successful. But you do have to admit that when you have a service like Xbox Game Pass, and you have someone like myself or anyone in the chat here that will pay your $20 a month, or of course you did it on a deal, you got it for 10, you got it for 9, you got it for 13, whatever you paid for it, you expect quality software in your service the same way you expect quality film, anime, and TV in your streaming services. It's no different. It's literally the same thing. It's one-to-one. Netflix does movie A, Amazon Prime does Fallout Season 2, HBO Max does, The Last of Us Season 3. You tune in and subscribe to these services because they're offering something that you like as a fan. Well, that's obviously what happened here with Doom: The Dark Ages. And to hit 3 million players, 2+ million PS, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, were on Xbox. And that's a big deal. So, of course, that last million is PlayStation 5, PC, BattleNet, Steam. Now, that's another thing that came up in the conversation, and a specific, YouTuber basically tried to, to say that because of low Steam numbers, as opposed to prior Dooms, meaning Doom Eternal and Doom 2016, that this was a flop. And of course, we all know who we're talking about. And obviously the rhetoric has continued. But, we did learn some big numbers, for instance.
Sorry about that, bro.
No sweat, brother. It's all right. I'm just ranting over here. So I want to get your hot take on whether you feel as a content creator, as an Xbox fan, that is Doom's The Dark Ages a failure because they couldn't equate 3 million sales versus 3 million players in 6 days? Because ultimately, that is the crux of the conversation. People immediately want to equate sales. But I guess that same logic, see money, wasn't used for something like Astrobot, for instance, which we don't even know if got to 2 million since its launch. And, it's not in the service. It is added to the bundle of a PlayStation 5, which I think is a great deal. But those numbers were padded, as so we've seen Sony do before. So the simple question is Doom the Dark Ages a success or a failure?
So I mean, it's pretty clear. Obviously, people who say this stuff are wild. This is clearly a success. And it's a success by the metrics that are defined for them, right? So if you saw that tweet, they said that they reached it like 7 times faster than Doom Eternal, right? So you have to look at the audience for the game, and as far as if it's a multi-plat game. So if the game's everywhere, and it's been everywhere, right? So Doom 2016 was everywhere, Doom Eternal was everywhere, and then Doom The Dark Ages everywhere. So they came out and they said that they hit bigger numbers faster than their previous game, which is a huge success, right? Do we think that the name brand Doom is like a huge game? Like, yeah, it sounds like it's a huge thing, right? It's been around forever, sure. It's also a pretty hardcore shooter, right? Like, it's not like a super casual game, right? That's gonna, do crazy, like super numbers, like Oblivion, right? That's a RPG. It's a different thing, right? Slower pace, right? The setting is different. That game crushed worlds, right? Like it was number one everywhere. Doom has a specific audience, and the good news is that audience grew significantly, right? Because they did what they did in Eternal in 6 days. They did that 7 times. They did it 7 times faster than they did for Eternal. So that's a huge boost, right? Like that's just showing you that the progression is going bigger. You're gonna have more people doing this, which is awesome. But I mean, look, obviously people are gonna, I've seen people crying about this stuff because like Final Fantasy, right? Final Fantasy, it did 3 million when they announced it. Why was that a failure? Well, number one, that was a failure by their own admission, right? So Square said it failed to meet their expectation.
I'm glad you made mention of that. That is a phenomenal point, because I did see that rhetoric, and people like, oh, you see, you're changing, you're changing the game. No. We didn't say that. Square Enix said that.
And also, when you look at Final Fantasy, the reason why this is a failure is because they went ahead and they sold less over the time of different games. So every game they've been releasing, they have sold less, which means they're less in the zeitgeist, right? Less people care about the game. And then they went ahead and went on this spree of making it PlayStation only, thinking that was going to, like, why would you say it failed to meet your expectations? What it failed to meet was your expectations of PlayStation, right? And that is the big thing there, right? That's why we kind of joke about it and laugh about it, because they're not saying it failed to meet expectations from everywhere. They signed a deal with PlayStation thinking that with their install base, they would sell a certain amount. And they failed to hit that amount. So you can't look at it and compare it to, well, Doom is multi-plat, it's everywhere. This only did it in one platform. Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter how much money was spent on Doom versus how much money was spent on Final Fantasy, right? What was their outlook? Clearly, they looked at the same 75 million players that PlayStation likes to tout around and think, oh, for sure, this is hardcore. We're going to go ahead and get these sales. And they didn't, right? They didn't. And that's why they backed out of the deals with PlayStation. That's why they're done with them. right? So the reason I shifted it here is because those are the people who are really talking about it, right? It's the ponies and stuff who are trying to talk about Doom as if we shift the narrative. No, narrative is not shifted. It's a different scenario. Now, Astrobot, it only sold 1.5 mil, right? Well, you can say that, well, maybe it's a niche genre. Well, I mean, what does Mario sell?
Yeah,
I think Mario sells a lot. So it's not a niche genre. It's actually the easiest genre for kids and people to get into. So you have the widest net of players to get to buy your game, and that didn't do it. Plus, on top of it, the reason why we were having such a good time mocking them is because they knew that game wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, it's fine for what it was, but they knew it wasn't the second coming, but they all tried to make it like it was, right? It got the highest, Metacritic, right? All that stuff. Oh my God. Wow. So amazing. Right. And then nobody showed up for it, right? So all the glazing was for nothing. So that's where we come up and we mock it. We don't care about sales. Like we don't. They don't understand that we only do it to mock them. Like I don't give a shit what any of these games sell. I don't even care about what I'm playing. If I'm having fun with a game or if I'm not. If it's doing great, I care that the studio did well, good for them. I care that if Xbox is publishing it, they made some bank off of it so that can come to us in more games. Sure, I'm 100% good on that. But personally, I could give 3 shits. They don't understand that the only reason that I care about any of this is to mock them for what they care about. You know what I'm saying? I can't mock them for things they don't care about. I can only mock them for things they do care about, and they care about sales. That's all they do. Even when Sony told them that we don't care about sales as much, we only care about the MAUs, they're still on about the sales, right? Immediately after with Doom sales. Like, fam, what battle are you fighting? I don't know. But we're going to keep making it. As long as they keep doing it, we're going to keep mocking them because it hurts them. This shit don't hurt me. I don't care. I'm playing a banger-ass game for free in my Game Pass subscription, and it's glorious. I mean, technically, they sent it to me, so it's not part of my subscription. But still, it's an amazing game, right? It's an amazing game. We get to play it. And frankly, everybody else, they're just sad that their situation that they feel means something to them, which are these sales, they got kind of rear-ended with a lot of these games that came out on the PlayStation platform exclusively. Yep. And it's like, fam, but you told us 75 million consoles meant something. Why aren't these games selling if it meant something, right? Again, nobody on this side of the fence is saying, oh, we have so many consoles sold or whatever. Nobody cares over here. So I mean, it's self-inflicted. You know what I'm saying? We're going to give it to them because that's the way they want it. We got to give them what they want.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, what I find to be funny is you mentioned quite a few times that the PlayStation Nation loves to talk about sales. The other day, this is why I try not to post on X, if you've noticed, unless I'm advertising for the show or I'm, hyping up someone else to give someone credit. Like, when Dirk Riggedy drops a video, when That Blue Number is streaming, when, C Money's out there with the misses, they're doing, I retweet, and I will, like when Jamie goes live with Logan Meyer, or, we saw Danny McGee go live with Umbra, or any of my other brothers and sisters. I do a lot of posting to promote other people's work because I think it's super important. And I really do love that about the community, that we all help each other. I think it's super important. I don't normally post about, like, for instance, Stella Blade. I didn't buy it. Not because I thought that she was too scampy, running around in thongs. I mean, I'm a guy, right? So of course I wouldn't mind playing that. That's such as life, right? But I didn't get it because I don't really like the PlayStation controller. I don't like the setup. I love the DualSense for what it does, but I'd rather play on an Xbox One X controller or my Elite. So I have like 6 or 7 of them. So I saw that there was an announcement that Stellar Blade was coming to PC, obviously, And I said, just out of curiosity, I went looking, see money, for these quote unquote sales. And the only thing I could find was the end of 2024 that they've moved 1 million copies of this game. Now, this game got high marks for reviews. Game looks gorgeous. So I simply said that there were now again, this is some thoughts that have no confirmation, but the studio is going to be making a sequel that somehow leaked. And that sequel, it appears, is going to be multi-platformed, meaning it's not going to be on Sony's PS5 only. And I think the reasons for that is these quote unquote sales that the PlayStation Nation loves to throw in the face of people like me. So I made a tweet and said, well, being that the second one is there, hopefully that they release Stellar Blade on Xbox, and they would at least, I was being very fair, double the sales of what they did on PlayStation 5, meaning they would get potentially another million people like me to buy Stellar Blade on Xbox. And folks, this is why now I got a lot of likes for it. Of course, a lot of people, I got well over 100 likes, which is great. But I did something that I normally don't like to do, and that's read the comments. And I got to tell you, my faith in humanity shrunk to almost -0, if that's even possible, with some of the replies. And people I've never interacted with, a lot of people I had blocked or muted, because I don't know what it is about the PlayStation fan base. And again, I'm not throwing everybody under the umbrella. I have a lot of great PlayStation friends who don't insert themselves into this console war horse shit.
Well, they're not ponies.
Yeah, they're not. There's
a difference. It's ponies. Yeah. You got to embrace ponies. I know you don't like to say it, but ponies is the definition of what they are. Because if you just say we're not talking about PlayStation. We're not talking about regular
fans, PlayStation players. Right? We're talking about toxic MFs, and you know what? That's what they're known as ponies. That's what it is. So
exactly, the vast majority of PlayStation people are just like you and me, and they just happen to have PlayStation as the console
as their main, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. See money. If you again, I said this before. The reason why Xbox games currently, we talked about it last night on Primetime Gaming, and I said I just put out a video talking about Project Trojan Horse has worked. Phil Spencer's plan has worked, folks. 5 of the top 7 games on PlayStation, most purchased games right now, are Xbox Game Studios. And who are buying those? The PlayStation players. These are the mains that may have been Xbox fans at one point and moved over to PlayStation from the Xbox 360 to the PS4. And the PS4 had a great run. And they went and got a PS5 because they enjoy the controller. They like their digital library if they have one. They like their friends list. Nothing wrong with that. These are your norms, your normies, if you will. They're buying Indiana Jones. They're buying... they will buy, you'll see, when Hellblade 2 releases this summer, it will sell. It's going to be in the top 10 for sure. Forza Horizon 5 sold 2 million copies. People are buying it on PlayStation, but these are not the ponies. And I'm only saying it one more time to kind of just go in line with what he's saying about. I want it to be clear that we're not talking about PlayStation players. We're talking about the toxic MFs that ruin it for everyone in the community. But look, here's the thing. I would imagine at some point Sony is going to find themselves having a very difficult time locking up these games based on what has happened in the past. Money. People from PlayStation, the so-called loudest, the toxic bunch that talks about sales, that always says console sales matter. Well, software sales matter too. And the reason why they don't matter as much for Xbox is because Xbox would rather you subscribe to Game Pass than have to buy the game. That's facts. They'd rather have you paying $20 a month for 12 months than you buying 2 games a year. because obviously normies don't buy more than 2 games a year, and that's a fact. We know that. That's facts, folks. But you know what? At the end of the day, apples, oranges. One is doing it the right way is offering a ridiculous amount of value, and we just got Refantazio announced yesterday in Game Pass. Right, that's dropping in Game Pass, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it. We can make a brief mention of it, but what about the 50 Activision classics, bro?
That's sick.
It's again, you're an OG like me. You remember playing on the Atari 2600. This is a monster-sized deal that was done on Twitter through a presser, bro. Like, they have so much stuff to announce. They're
like the show's coming up. Like, it's right there.
It's right 3
like
weeks.
This would be a great fucking reveal.
Yeah. It's. But again, great time to be an Xbox fan. And again, if you're a PlayStation fan, you're eating well thanks to Xbox. And what?
You're also an Xbox fan. Like, that's just what it is, right?
Interestingly enough that you say that, kind sir, because I'm going to hand the microphone back over. We're going to segue into a story that comes the way of Xbox era, ladies and gentlemen. And this is where we might have to fling some slander. Now, this story was written by John Clark. Obviously, he's one of the major voices and owner of Xbox era. I've met John multiple times. Great dude. I don't know if he's going to be going this year. I know that we hung out last year, and I actually got a chance to play test Console War, the card game, before anyone. And back then, you folks, he has gone a long way with that. Like, the cards right now look so good. They're like Magic the Gathering worthy. How good the cards look. I was playing this game, when they were just white squares cut out with some magic marker to distinguish what they were. And I got a chance to play. Yeah, dude, it was great. Who do we play with? I think it was me. It was Kayasante, which by the way, won that particular game. And it was 2 other people. It might have been Ains. It was Ains from Seasons Gaming. And
I think King just put up
yes, he did. With me, with us playing the game. Yes, he did.
You guys were playing. Yep, I saw that one. Yep.
So it was great. But look, here's the thing. This is a truthful written article, and it also really does bring into question what Phil Spencer did with deciding. And again, it wasn't just Phil. This is obviously a decision that is, involves Sarah Bond. It involves Matt Booty. It involves Aaron Greenberg. It involves, people above them in Microsoft to go to third party. And I've said this before. I still don't like it, but I understand it. I understand the business aspect of it. And here's why. So in the story, once again, written by John Clark, I have in front of me from xboxera.com, it says 4 of the top 5 best-selling games on PlayStation were published by Microsoft. Now, we actually just made a mention of that, but it's what he said in the tweet that I think is worthy of the conversation. And this is where it might get a little slanderous, folks, so get ready. Is your PlayStation 5 now an Xbox? Well, I think the easy answer is it is. Now, it doesn't have Game Pass, sure, but you are, and I say you, meaning PlayStation, is currently being dominated. And you know what's interesting, C-Money? It's not just the month of April. This has been going on for quite some time and will continue. And you know why it's going to continue? Because PlayStation has no fucking games. Pardon the F-bomb right there, folks. They just don't. True. And there's nothing that they're going to release in the next year or 2 that's going to change that. Right now, Ghost of Yotai, one of my most anticipated games of the year. And as great as I believe that game is going to be, C-Money, it is not going to change the conversation. You know why? Because Xbox has Gears of War Reloaded coming to PlayStation for the first time. That is exactly what PlayStation gamers like. Over the shoulder, story driven, real life, violent type graphics. People are going to lap it up. It is going to come out. It's going to be a budgeted price, and it's going to be the first time that PlayStation players may have ever touched a controller to play Gears of War. You still have the game coming out at the end of the year, The Outer Worlds 2, and there might be others. I think Starfield is going to be announced for PlayStation at some point.
I think it's going to happen at the showcase when they
could
show.
Very well happen at the show.
Expansion.
Yeah.
I think they're waiting for the expansion.
Yeah, you know what? Great. They're probably going to get a Game of the Year version with both expansions. You got Hellblade 2 enhanced. That, of course, is going to run at 60 on PS5. It's also, we're getting the free upgrade for Xbox Series X and X. It's going to get the enhanced. It's going to run at 60. And I saw a lot of slander for that. Oh, we had to wait until it comes to PlayStation 5. Listen, folks, it ran at 30. It was an amazing looking game. Now you can play it at 60. There's no excuses. And with all of these games that I just announced that are coming to PlayStation 5 this year, this trend,
Hellblade 2,
Hellblade 2 and Call of Duty, they're going to dominate PlayStation 5. And I think that for the remainder of the year, and again, push back on me. See if you think I'm being facetious.
Here. I got to push you forward. Xbox owns PlayStation. I think Sony signed over the bill of sale. You know what I'm saying?
They signed the deed to PlayStation Land. To
they signed the deed over to Xbox. Like Xbox is just looking at it like an extension of their platform. They're just like, oh, look at all these consoles sitting here, waiting to buy our games, and that's what they're doing, man. They own the box.
Take it away. Let's talk about that. Has the PlayStation 5 become an Xbox? That's the question.
I mean, it 100% is. It's no doubt about it. Again, when you think about what's exciting, right? And this is just the reality. What's exciting on your platform? If you're a PlayStation person, you are excited for Xbox properties. This is just what it is. This is what it is. Every ounce of fun news you have, as much as you want to think that it's some type of like a burn or something that they still are trying to think that this stuff is, we're so far past all this stuff. It doesn't even make sense anymore to talk about it in a negative way. I only see it as a positive way, actually, because it's only positive for these studios and only positive for our Game Pass, right? So they are so excited for every game that Xbox has announced. And outside of the first 4, it's funny because this is what happened. The first 4 that everybody keeps wanting to talk about was the trial. So they put things on there that people weren't really excited about, right? Like Sea of Thieves got play, right? But like the other stuff were just kind of like whatever. Like they were cool for us in Game Pass, but like as a, hey, we're bringing this to your platform, be excited. I didn't think they really fit the bill. But these games, all the games that Xbox has been bringing now and been not bringing because most of them are not there yet, but they're on their way. These are the ones that they've been fiending for, right? These are the ones that got them all pumped when they found out that this was happening. And I mean, it just is what it is. It's a good thing. They should be excited, right? Because these are amazing games that they're finally going to be able to experience, because these other games that they've had, number one, I mean, we've seen how these games have done, right, on their console. And as brand new games, when they release a game, they haven't done much of anything lately, right? So like nobody, even if they talk about it, nobody's really that excited about them. But to have old games come over to PlayStation and see how many people are just so pumped, it's a beautiful thing, man. I think we see it for what it is. Xbox has done the master plan, right? This was it. And of course, like Boom will tell you, he doesn't like it, but he understands it. I'm all for it now. Like I 100% see how this benefits me and honestly how it benefits the industry, bro. Like that's the biggest problem that we have. Like we have to balance where we are with this, right? Like are we fans of a brand first, or are we fans of gaming first, right? And at the end of the day, for me, it's like scary, quote unquote scary, like as scared as you could be about something like this. But it's scary to see companies that are smaller, do big pushes and try to really do something AAA, and then ultimately the game doesn't hit for whatever reason, and then these companies are just like gone. You know what I'm saying? Like these companies are gone, which means you're going to be in a situation where more and more of these studios take less risk, right? And if you're taking less risk, gaming becomes less exciting, man. Like I'm sorry, like I don't want to keep playing the same type of game over and over again. It's just not what I'm here for, right? I want new experiences. And if they feel like if they do new experiences, they're not going to sell enough, and then they're going to be put out of business, then they're not going to do it. And unfortunately, this doesn't, what Xbox is doing doesn't help them. What Xbox is doing with Game Pass does help them. It does give them the opportunity to, take a bag and sell and make some money. So that does help. But it's still a scary situation overall for the industry. So the fact of the matter is that we've seen what's happening with PlayStation, right? They're pivoting away from doing massive games, right? We just heard from Neil Druckmann. They got another game in the works. What did we tell you guys? This is the scenario that's happening, right? The scenario that's happening is Hiroki said, we're not doing it this way. You guys are irresponsible with the money. We need to start making more money. And what did we tell you? We told you all the time that what that equals is more games per studio, which means smaller games that don't take 5, 6, 7 years to get done. Doesn't mean that the fidelity will be much less, but it does mean they're probably not going to push. And you're going to end up with these studios making a bunch of these games. And again, in a scenario where it's like where Xbox is like, yeah, go ahead and make a new team to go make a game like Fable being made by Playground Games, but that's not the people who are making Forza, right? They made a new team for that, right? In that scenario, that's different, right? That's expansion, that's growing. That's not what's happening on PlayStation. What's happening on PlayStation, they're taking the same squad, breaking it up, and the teams that used to put all their energy into making a Last of Us 2 are not. They're breaking that up and making smaller games, right? So you're going to see a difference in their games, and that is what I don't want to see from Xbox, right? And the fact that they are going ahead and solidifying themselves in the industry, making sure that their games matter not just to Xbox, but to everyone. That's a huge thing, man. It gives these games the opportunity to have longer lives, bring in more money, gives these studios more ability to create bigger and better ideas, having a bigger addressable market now. So, I mean, at the end of the day, honestly, this is literally nothing but good news, right? This is nothing but good news for what Xbox is doing, and the fact that now Xbox has put all these games over there. The PlayStation players clearly are taking to it. It's not like it's not a bad thing. It's not like they're going over there and ruining something for them. They're doing what Sony can't do for them and give them games, right? It's crazy, but I have a lot of analogies that I would like to do, but I won't do it on this channel. So I'll save it for later in our show tonight. But it's just the idea that on your console, someone else, another provider, right, is taking care of you. This is not just a third party publisher, right? Like, again, they can try to say this stuff, but we all know the reality, right? At the end of the day, Xbox is a platform holder. They have their own product, okay, that they can sell to. They have PC they can sell to, and now they have Switch and PlayStation that they can sell to. They are going over there as a first-party platform holder and giving you first-party platform games.
Yes.
It's a different caliber, right? It's a different caliber. It's a different quality. Obviously, everything Xbox has been doing has been hitting big time, right? They haven't missed since Redfall. It's just everything they put out has been top notch, right? So the fact of the matter is that PlayStation is getting taken care of.
Yeah.
Buy Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, there's some analogies that I'll use later that I might not be appropriate for here, but I feel like
I
you can get the
appreciate
idea.
you being reserved, because obviously, look, we have fun here. I cursed before and I hate myself for it, but you know what? I needed to say it because I drop an F-bomb once every couple of shows, and I think it was worthy. And I do really mean that. I think that there is something to be said about Xbox having the games and PlayStation having no games. And PlayStation right now is being fed by the biggest third-party publisher in gaming, and it's going to continue to grow. They're going to continue to have Xbox first-party or Xbox Game Studio titles in their top 10, and I believe that this is going to run through the remainder of the year. And like I said before, and I really do mean this, there is nothing that Sony can actually do right now outside of MLB The Show, which is a multi-plat, and they have Ghost of Yotai coming out. And again, please, folks, don't come at me with, well, what about Marathon? You don't want to get me started on what's going to happen with Marathon. It is going to flop, okay? Fair Games may not even make it out the gates. And you know why that is? Because of Concord. And if Marathon flops like it appears it's going to, just based on some of the things that people are saying, including journalists like Paul Tassi, who did not one,
bro.
but two. Everyone's talking about this game. And you know the problem is? The problem is that it's coming in behind something like Arc Raiders that everyone is excited about. Arc Raiders just became or got into the top 10 most wish list games. And you know what? Those extraction shooters, I won't play them. I don't care whether they're free to play or not. That is just not my bag. But again, what are we talking about here, C? We're talking about a PlayStation that used to depend on their first-party games to, distinguish who they were in the industry. And they're not releasing those games now. And now people have shifted their eyes over to Xbox. And again, even though old dogs like us don't like the idea of multi-platform, and honestly, I really think that they could have sold a ridiculous amount of consoles if this if the success that they're having through first-party development happened 5 years ago. There's not even a question who is the market leader. But
you know the problem, Boom. You know the one problem, and this is why I think we have to really understand that Xbox cannot be the market leader with just the US and part of Europe. Like there's so many places that Xbox is not in, or that no matter what they release, no one's going to care. And that's why, like, at the end of the day, like I understand the sentiment, like, oh man, if we just had all these first party games before, they would be killing it. I honestly think that no matter what the scenario was, even if Xbox was number one, and that's why, like, all the bullshit that people say it is stupid. Microsoft still would have done this. They still would have done it. And I'll tell you why. Go look at Microsoft Windows and Apple. Microsoft Windows, it was huge. I mean, it still is. Obviously, it's the most dominant thing, but it was huge. It didn't need Apple users. Apple users were nowhere near the amount of users that Windows had. Yet, they still went ahead, even being the dominant force, still went ahead and went and put their software suite on Apple because it wanted more. No matter how you cut it, success doesn't equal me stopping. Success equals how can I get more success? That's just the way that it works. So at a certain point, no matter how you cut it, they would have just been like, okay, well, now that we have so many people who buy here, there's still, no matter what you would have done, even if it was flipped and there were 70 million Xboxes and 40 million or 35 million PlayStations, there's still 35 million people that Xbox would want to buy their games, right? This is just the way. And again, if you look at the numbers, even if and I'm not saying that it would be, but realistically speaking, for Xbox to get to those numbers, right? There's not going to be magically 35 more super hardcore players. When you flip the script, you're getting the same group of people, right? You're still getting the casual people that at the end of the day, all of these first-party games that Xbox are making are not for the casuals for the most part, right? They're more for your hardcore gamers, right? A South of Midnight, Oblivion, all these games, they're for people who are core gamers, right? So if you went ahead and had Xbox at 75 mil, it'd still be filled with the same 35 million people on PlayStation that don't pick up their wallets to buy a damn game. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how you cut it, Xbox would have looked at the same scenario. Look at PlayStation. They have all those people. They still only sold 2 million, 1.5 million. A few of their games sell 8 million, 10 million. Those are the older ones, right? The big name ones, right? But it's only a few of them, right? At the end of the day, for the numbers are still growing, right? As far as, the costs are still growing, right? For them to put out the games that they want to put out, they still have to invest a lot of money. And Microsoft, especially with the amount of studios under its brand that it's paying for every single day, right? Every month, every year, it's paying for these studios to exist. They are always going to want the maximum output. So as much as I know people want to say, if Xbox would have just waited, they would have gotten to a point where they can sustain it. No, there is no number. There is no number. If that was the case, they would have just did this with PlayStation and said, we don't care about PC. Or if that was the case, they would have just did it with PlayStation and PC and said, we don't care about mobile. But you hear them still fighting for mobile, right? Because they want it all. It's never enough. So the idea that something was going to change if somehow Xbox had more consoles, unfortunately, I don't see that happening. I see the same outcome regardless, whether they were the leader or whether they were where they were always going to go down this path, right? It's just how quickly it would have happened. And at the end of the day, I think we can see just with PlayStation, even having all those consoles sold, they still have their leaders saying they don't know what they're doing. They're spending too much on games. We need to fix this. We need discipline. You hear that? We're disciplined. These motherfuckers getting pow, right? They're getting the chancla and the belt in the background. So you got Sony disciplining these studios.
Are you saying that the CFO threw the chancleta and hit?
I'm saying that's right. That's right. He did. He threw that chancleta. This is just the way it is. They got the phone call. Mommy's coming home with the belt. They're like, oh no, man. Get your shit in order. So this is what's happening. This is just the fact of what it is. So how can you explain that for PlayStation with being the quote unquote most consoles out there, right? Yeah. If the console sales were the end all be all, then we would not be having these discussions. And Astrobot would have sold 25 million. This is just the reality. But because Xbox sees what's happening, they're not ever going to wait to fail. They got to look forward. They're looking ahead. They see what's happening. It's done. They made the moves that they need to move. Now you can go ahead and you can cry about it and you can be upset about it, or you can just understand that the world we live in now, for gaming to be what we want it to be, this idea of the exclusive is a very different proposition than it was in the past. Doesn't mean there will never be an exclusive or anything like that, but it is a different world that we live in. And again, you see PlayStation fighting it with all their might. And how are they fighting it? Instead of saying, you know what, let's go ahead and release our games everywhere so we can keep the same level, them being the bitter, bitches that they are, they're saying, you know what, we're just going to discipline our studios, tell them to stop making such big games, stop wasting so much money. We can't have one game from you every 5, 6, 7, 10 years. We need multiple games coming out. So they're going to make smaller games. They're going to make them cheaper. That's what they're doing. So they are going down, right? They are lowering things to keep their way of life, where Xbox is cranking everything up putting everything everywhere, but cranking everything up and giving us more and more high quality content. And for us, it goes in the Game Pass. For everybody else, they get to buy it and experience it. And you know what? It's a beautiful thing, man. At the end of the day, you know, again, you can be caught up in the way of the past, but if you cannot see new information in front of you and change your thoughts and your beliefs on things, then you're just doomed, right? With doom on the screen, right? You're doomed to just repeat your same mistakes over and over again. You got to be able to move forward. And at the end of the day, this is only healthy for the industry. It's healthy for Microsoft and Xbox. Yeah. It's healthy for PlayStation players to have exciting games coming out from Xbox. And that's just the reality of what it is.
Yeah, you know, I see some chatter in the chat about you know, Microsoft saying F the fans. So again,
how
that's going to be that was going to be my follow up. I don't understand how you think that because again, exclusivity was the way of gaming, and it has been that way for a very, very long time. And that is, again, they had to change in order to get better. Instead of being in third place, which is where they are, they needed to figure out a way that they were going to make money still being in third place, right? They're in third place right now. And I don't necessarily know if they're in third place when it comes to monies made. I don't think that's the case.
No,
I think they're
it's
in
just
first
consoles.
Place, right? It's just consoles where they are. But that metric has changed. That ideology had to change. Did that change for Sony? Not as of yet. Will it ever change for Nintendo? Probably not. Like, Nintendo is always going to do their own thing, walk to the beat of their own drum, and they're going to be very successful in doing what they're doing. PlayStation is a different beast, right? They are traditional. They are doing things the way they used to do things. And guess what? That didn't work for them. So what did they ultimately do, see? They said, okay, single-player, one-and-done games, which is why I have a PlayStation, folks. I don't make no apologies for it. I loved Astrobot, and I love their first-party, single-player, story-driven, narrative-focused, movie-like games, which is why I have a PlayStation 5. They moved away from that to do what? To chase after the gas game phenomenon. And what happened? Well, they saw that Xbox was making money hand over fist on games that they already had out there. Minecraft, Sea of Thieves. I mean, there's a boatload of them. Grounded. It just keeps going. They have an incredible roster of gas games that keeps working for them, and now they own Call of Duty, the gas game of gas games. And what happened with PlayStation? They canceled 10 of the 12 announced games that were gas games, right? Jim Ryan said we got 12 of them in the oven. 10 have been canceled. I would imagine that Fair Games is going to be the 11th. That is going to be canceled. There's no doubt about it. That game did not hit. And it does appear that even before it releases, Marathon is on life support. All they had was Helldivers 2, which did incredibly well on PC. Right. That is not so much on PlayStation 5. And here is the kick to the balls about that studio. They're not working with PlayStation anymore. As a matter of fact, they're going to 100% fund their own game so they could 100% make the big decisions that matter. And they and followed by, well, we still like PlayStation. When you say it like that, it's like, well, I dumped this chick, but I still like her because of this. That's not the way it works, folks. They stepped away because I guarantee you they wanted Helldivers on Xbox, and Sony put the block hand. And now what do they have? Well, they have Intergalactic, which I'm very excited for. And all people are like, oh, boom, it's woke. I can't say that because it has a female lead, and I will not sign off on that.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
It's a stupid narrative. That game looks dope. Yes, it was a CG game. It gave me Guardians of the Galaxy vibe. Yes, I'm in.
I love Naughty Dog. The only reason that I'm hesitant is not because of what I saw, even though like that last part is supposed to be the gameplay. It's the type of game that it's supposed to be, supposedly, because of what Neil Druckmann said. He got obsessed with the idea of Elden Ring. And what I don't want is Naughty Dog to make one of those type. I want a Naughty Dog game.
Right.
If you're going to start, that's like, it's basically like, Rocksteady.
Yes.
When they made Suicide Squad. It's like, sure, it's Rocksteady, but they made Suicide Squad. And the game was fine until you got to the...
known for. That's not what we want.
Exactly. As soon as you got to the games as a service stuff, everything falls apart. Just like Marvel's Avengers did. All the same thing. The main game was fine until you had to deal with the games as a service stuff. So now, instead of making a narrative-based game, which is what they normally do, I'm sure they're going to put narrative into it, but if it's narrative and then what you do in the in-between is something that's Elden Ring like, I'm not going to be... I'm not excited for that. I have to see it. I would have to see it to see how they do it. But the idea of it has me not as excited. Like, they could have just made a new game. You know what I'm saying? They could just make a new Naughty Dog type of game. So that's the only reason I'm not, excited by it, because I don't know what is it. If he just shut his mouth, I would have been excited for it. But because he said that, now I'm like, oh my God, are they chasing more trends? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they copying shit too, man?
Hey, bro, yes. That worries me. I didn't even know he said that. And now I have concerns, because if he's obsessed with Elden Ring, well, Elden Ring is its own animal, and it is a Souls game. And for some reason, I love that game, other than the last boss, which is really cheese piece of, you know what?
But you don't like other Souls games that much.
Yeah, but I don't really do the Souls thing. And if you're telling me
because I played the hell out of Elden Ring. So I thought Elden Ring was going to like make me want to go ahead and play other Souls like games. And then I went and played some, and it's like, well, I still don't care for this. It's just, it was just the perfect blend of a game. I don't know. Elden Ring just hit. Something about that game even hit for people like me, and exactly. I'm not that person Souls either. Guy, right? Yep. So let's see, money. Listen, let me catch up on super chats. I got to get on out of here, folks, because I do have an appointment. But I do again. Let me just. There's been quite a few of them. So again, apologies that we didn't read them up front, but we're trying to do the show in a timely fashion because I do got to bounce. Big Mad Mo, who's been a channel member for a whopping 37 months, says, shout out to you and Mrs. Boom. Thank you, kind sir. And what's up, C? Keep up the great work. Slap that like button, y'all. Hashtag boot on next season. Hashtag Xbox invades enemy territory. Hashtag you pay to play. Great hashtags, brother. We also have Day Reezy, your good friend, C Money. His message for you. He says, he drops a $2 super chat and says, fun fact. See, Money's favorite topping for pizza is mustard and olives. Oh no, that would never be true.
That's awful.
That would never be true. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Agita, whatever you want to call it. That is not a good. That's not going to be a good pizza. I'm going to tell you right now. Shout out to you, Dave. Thanks so much for being there and for the generosity. Do UK now the broke boy insider? What's going on? Salute, brother. He drops a $2 super chat and says, The Witcher 3 10th anniversary controller and Elite is available today. See, Money, did you see that?
I did not.
Hold on. Hold the horses. Let me do a screen share. You're going to lose your effing mind. Here we go. This is crazy. Let me just throw it up on the screen. Let me get back over here. See, Money, take a look at this. Oh, I got to get this out of here first. There we go. The Witcher 3 10th anniversary controller. Let me blow it up for you. And yep, that's available right now. And there's an Elite version of it. Let me just take us out of the picture. There you go.
Oh my God.
Yep, I ordered it, and I don't even like The Witcher 3. I've never finished it. I've tried to play it 3 times. Yeah, 3 times, 10 hours. I stopped. It's just not for me.
Oh my God.
I don't know why, but I am not skipping on a controller that looks that dope. So I wound up buying the controller. So there you go, folks.
That
If
looks
you
sick.
want it,
What about the Elite? Click it. It's right there.
okay, hold on. Let me get to the Elite. Let me just get to the Elites. There it is.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same controller.
It's the same controller, except it's got the Elite, which I'm not gonna front. That's kind of cheesy. I wish they would have made a different one. But I will say this though, and this is, again, we've got to get out of here, but to celebrate the 10th anniversary with a exclusive controller, this is how you know Xbox and their gamers are winning. Like, Xbox is so on the mark. I mean, there's even a Witcher 10th anniversary theme for your Xbox, a dynamic theme that they dropped for free the other day.
Sick.
Oh, here you go. Boom, there you go. Merry Christmas. So folks, yeah, right now, shout out to Will. It is now available. Oh, come on.
I didn't even. Wow.
It's sold out. Are you serious? Oh my God.
Look at this. That's sold out right there.
Okay, the standard one is still available.
Right.
The Elite is sold out, which is wow. Real? Yo, I guarantee you that Elite is going to be $500 on eBay. There's no doubt about it. That is crazy. Wow. All right. Well, there you go, folks.
That's crazy.
Let me throw this back up on the screen so you can watch me get killed in Doom. We have Sith Lord, the vintage one, who's been a channel member for a whopping 37 months. He says, check out the show later. I'll check out the show later when I get out of surgery on my arm for dialysis. Have a great show, Boom, and Sea Mustard with olives. Brother, get well soon. Hopefully,
yeah, man.
Fingers crossed that everything is good for you. And you know, obviously, he gets the dialysis, and that's tough work, man.
That sucks, man.
That sucks. So, of course, we hope you feel better and that everything does work out for you. We have Adidas 20 who's been a channel member for 28 months. And salute to Boom and C Money. And Xbox is the shiznit. Indeed, it is. J-Mac, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat. He says, PlayStation is the market leader. True. What's also true is Microsoft and Xbox are the industry leaders, and they're just not the same. I mean, that's facts. Ooh, that is absolute facts right there. Great points of view. King Webb, salute to you, kind sir. King, what's going on, brother? He drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, PlayStation is making AA games, won't satisfy the PlayStation fan base or players. Yeah, you're not wrong. They want bangers, which is why they're buying Xbox games, folks. And that's not going to change. And you know something that's crazy? I know we don't have time for it. I really got to go, folks. But I saw people actually hyping up the Xbox show as a PlayStation show. And all I'm going to say is, if you're one of those people, go hide yourself in a closet and don't come out until after the show. They're
just saying it wrong, man. They're just showing that they're Xbox fans, excited for the Xbox show.
Yeah,
that's all. They could say what they want about PlayStation. They're excited for Xbox. It's like saying if Square Enix or I don't know, any of these other publishers had an event that they were showing their games off, that for them to go ahead and say this is a PlayStation show. No, this is you being a Square fan, right? You're going to see what games they're bringing, right? This is where Xbox is. You're an Xbox fan. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody is. Accept it. No problem, right? You're supporting them. You're supporting them more than you support PlayStation at this point. Just understand it. It's just the reality of what it is. If you buy multiple games from Xbox in a year and you're only buying one game a year from PlayStation, you're supporting Xbox more than you support your own console base, right? So just accept it. You're a fan. It's okay. Good. Enjoy. Come watch. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So, Simon, let's sell the brand, brother. On Point for Gamers, a place where you can get lots of Xbox versus PlayStation content, and they walk the walk and they talk the talk. Brother, sell the brand. Where can people check out you and the missus each and every week, 4 times a week? And of course, you've done some big things. You're going to be going and hanging out with me, King David, the Iron Lords, Kay Asante, Hargeet, Chani, the homie, and a bunch of other people. Web Dave is going to be there. It's going to be one heck of a party. You'll be there covering it. Brother, sell the brand. Where can people subscribe to the YouTube channel? And more importantly, follow you guys on social media.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you know what it is, Boom. I appreciate you having me on the show, man. Always fun to be on the show. So appreciate you, man. So catch us here on Thursdays, 12 o'clock normally with XVlog Live. And then, yeah, man, On Point for Gamers is our channel. We are getting very close to our 25K
beautiful, bro.
sub
Beautiful
goal. So definitely come check us out. And yeah, I mean, listen, we are we're an Xbox focused channel, but we don't cry over there. Okay. So if you're looking to go to one of those channels that if Xbox says something that you don't like, the world has to cry about it, you're not looking at the right people with us. We're keeping it real for us. Okay. We don't put on a show to try to let people see how outraged we are over bullcrap. Come check us out. We do multiple shows. They're all at 8 p.m. We got Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tonight is our show, and we didn't have a show on Tuesday, so we got a lot to talk about tonight. So tonight is definitely going to be a juicy one. A lot of fun stuff to talk about for sure. So yeah, come check us out on Twitter. You can follow me, C Money Forever. Also On Point for Gamers, and then Doodle to Be Free is the wife. Is my wife. So we're it's a fun show, man. Come check it out. Rock out. A lot of our homies are here, supporting the channel. So you guys are the shit. So
you
thank
guys
you
do
guys.
good work. Listen, again, we don't do the console war here, but you guys do it. And you know something, even when you guys do the console war conversation, and listen, people do their thing. I'm not a hater, I'm a congratulator, but you bring facts with it. You actually bring numbers into the conversation. And even though it's slanderous, that's fine. But the numbers are there to back up the opinions. And right now, there is a publisher that is the talk of the town, which is Xbox. And there's a publisher that keeps stepping on their own D. And they did that again yesterday when they announced the cancellation of the Stars program. And you know why that is? They don't want to give anyone discounts. So again, I got to get on out of here. Don't forget to mention that tonight when you guys are talking about PlayStation Stars.
Yeah, and also remember, Boom, it's not console wars anymore. It's pony wars. Okay, that's where our war is. It's a war against the ponies. We won't stop until they're all gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, for sure. Hey, real quick, Freddie Fox in the chat drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says Xbox raises console prices, and the sales are up for April, and Xbox games are at the top for selling on April. Yet haters think Xbox is dead. Yeah, they were actually up almost 8% in console sales year over year, and that may not be a big deal, but PlayStation was in the negative, as opposed to Xbox in April being 8.9 or 8.8, I think it was. But look, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the conversation, hit the like button. Please, again, share this on social media if you're feeling super generous. A big thank you to all of the super chats, channel member chats, and gifted memberships that continue to support the channel, both up front and
one more snuck in. Starfield guy.
Oh, okay. Starfield guy drops very generous £2 super chat and says, Boom just dropped. Boom, they just dropped the Witcher 3 controller. I bought it. I literally bought it on the air because I saw Will, the broke boy Lewis, talk about it, and I went to it. The Elite is sold out. The regular one, that's $80, is still there. I'm not a Witcher fan. You know that. I did not like the game. I tried 3 times, and it just never resonated with me, but I am not passing on that controller because it's going to be worth a lot of money, and it's going to look real dope in my collection, so that's why I bought it. Maybe it makes no sense to you, but I'm a controller collector. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Of course, I'm going to close the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.